Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you could join us today on Applause. We're starting things off by taking you to a new gallery in the Flats. Now, as you can see, it has some wonderful paintings. But you know, the thing about this gallery is you won't just find beautiful art hanging on the wall. You'll also find it displayed right here on the floor. These distinctive, handcrafted pieces are indeed works of art, a combination of sleek-lined sculpture and functional furniture, and each was designed by Chagrin Falls native Paul Kepf.
I'm from a family where my brother is an architect, my mother is a painter. My parents collect true art, true antiques. So I was surrounded by it, and when I got to high school, I was taking shop class to improve my art and sculpture. What turned out is the flip. I enjoyed the shop class as much as the art and sculpture, and someone asked me to build them a piece of furniture, and we were off and running.
At an age when most high school shop students are turning out simple bookshelves, 16-year-old Paul Kepf built not one, but two grandfather clocks, one for his parents and one for a client. 3 decades later, Kepf is the owner of Lindsay Furniture Gallery, a new 4,000-square-foot gallery and workshop that showcases his own creations and the paintings and sculptures of other regional artists. Kepf designs each piece of furniture and supervises the work of the skilled artisans who turn his 2-dimensional plans into a 3-dimensional reality, one piece at a time.
With fewer and fewer craftsmen or mechanics making furniture out there, it is becoming closer and closer to an art form. And it's my goal that whatever I build, you know, when that gentleman or that woman comes home from work and they've been beat up all day, that we give them a little bit of light, you know, that it lifts them to see something pretty.
Paul, tell us about this piece and the different designs in the wood that you use here on the front.
In a lot of our furniture, we choose to do fancy face veneer work, where we assemble different figures and different types of wood into one panel or one element of the furniture. This is a walnut burl. It's actually 4 pieces of veneer, here, 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 here. It's surrounded by an African hardwood called emberwood, which has in its natural color some refractory capabilities. Here's a clear finish in emberwood as a natural wood. What we were after was to create a more even color. In its raw, the brown of the walnut was too dark compared to the gold of the emberwood. The hardware is cast bronze, and what we did was carved the hardware and sent it to a local artist foundry and had it cast.
Well, Paul, now we're looking at a buffet with a design unlike anything I've ever seen. What was your inspiration?
This has several influences. One is a Memphis look, which brought a lot of different elements into contemporary and modern design. Also, in commercial architecture now, bringing in serpentine curves and curved line is very popular. This piece is manufactured from one. The case itself is more of a buffet. This hardware we bring in from Japan. It's Sugatsun hardware, and the finish is a conversion varnish. Now, this floating form is an attempt to take it. One of the things difficult in furniture design is to take a block or a storage container and make it look light and make it look feathery, and that's what we've achieved here.
And how do you get this effect, where you actually ripple the wood like this?
Well, we have a veneer press that we also use as a laminating press. And we've created a male-female form to compress laminates of lumber into a serpentine design.
Can we go back and see how you do it?
Sure, we'll show you how.
The workshop is just off the gallery on the other side of a glass door. It's here that 2 artisans, each with 30 years of woodworking experience, carefully craft each piece of furniture using both modern and antique equipment.
This is a veneered fancy face panel. What we've done here is tape together some 1/20th of an inch veneer into a pattern. We've taken that layer of veneer and glued it to a core or a substrate. After the panel's been squared up like Mark does, we have to sand off this tape and get a perfectly flat panel in order to assemble it into a piece of furniture. This machine here is another one of our antique machines. It's called a stroke sander, and it's designed to sand veneer panels very flat.
So Paul, is this how you got the effect of the cabinet that we saw out front that had the two different grains of wood and the two patterns?
Yeah, there's many different ways you can pattern veneer to get a different look. This is called a diamond pattern in the whole cabinet door. The trick to this machine is not sanding through the veneer to the core, and then you've wasted hour after hour getting it to this point. Mark's very experienced at it, rarely sands through. As you can see, there's pieces of the tape left, but this is outside where we're going to cut the frame out for the cabinet door. And this is rift cut maple.
So now you're going to show us how you made the wavy edge that we saw in that buffet. What are you starting with here, Paul?
Well, this is a birch Luan plywood. There's 2 layers of veneer in each sheet. This top face is birch. And we layer them up. They're an 1/8 inch thick. And we put them in the laminating press to create the serpentine material. First, what we do is we apply glue to all these surfaces, and then we place them in the press.
So how long will the laminate have to stay in here?
Well, the glue we use is a plastic resin glue that requires 20 hours to cure. And we really don't want any delamination at this point, so we leave it overnight.
And how many pounds of pressure were you putting on it?
Well, the goal is to shoot for 80 pounds per square inch, which this machine is capable of doing. As you can see, it's an old cast machine that's been around. I think a cabinet maker had it before me, and before that was an elevator company. So
another antique.
Yes, another antique.
And then when you take it out, it's going to look like this.
Correct.
So you can see all the layers, and will you have to do sanding and cut the edge off?
Yes, we use the panel saw that you saw before, and we straight line this edge, and then we apply a piece of hardwood over it to cover the veneer. Don came in from California, actually, and has traveled all over the country as a cabinet maker and a finisher. He's also a carver. Then you have to have the math skills, and you have to have the geometry skills, and then you also have to have gross motor and fine motor skills. So there's a lot of talents that go into being a good cabinet maker and being a good furniture maker.
So this is what you're working on now?
Yeah, that's the piece I just finished up constructing, and that's what I'm finishing the top in there now and getting it ready for delivery.
How long did it take you to put it all together?
Approximately a week.
Wow.
Week milling and everything. We start out, almost all our pieces made into hardwoods are all starting out as rough boards. We mill everything to size. And
so you're not starting out with this, you're
no.
starting out with this.
Yeah,
and what do you have to do from here to here?
Well, we run it across a jointer first to get one side flat, and then we'll run it through a planer, and that planes it down to the thickness we want, or at least close to it, and then we sand it to the final dimension.
And then cutting out the wood and putting it all together, this has only taken you a week?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what 30 years of experience.
Longer than I wanted, but you know, it take a little time.
What's the best part about this job for you? When this is done, are you going to have a real feeling of satisfaction?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to stand back and say I did that. That's good. Yeah, I like that part. And I like to see the customer receive it. That's an additional reward. You know, I know that I did okay, but seeing the customer appreciate it, that's better than anything.